What's up, guys? Joe White here, and I am here today to give my review. It's going to be the first half of it's going to be non-spoilers, and then I'll give a spoiler warning for Black Panther. Probably one of the greatest superhero movies of all time. I got to see this movie Friday night. So I got to go see it opening night, roughly opening night. It actually opened up on a Thursday and smashed Thursday record openings. So I got to see it with a packed audience. It was the screening that we were put in, or at least the theater that we were put in, was one of the smaller theaters, like the smaller theaters inside of the big Cineplex, if you will. So you could probably only get about maybe 200 people in there, when they have ones that fit 350. So it was one of their smaller viewings, I guess you could say. But the audience clapped at all the right places. They even cheered at all the right places. It was a phenomenal screening. It doesn't matter to me whether it was primarily African American, primarily white people. I don't care who saw the film as long as people are going out and seeing it, because it is a phenomenal movie. The movie, of course, stars Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Dia Guerrera, Martin Freeman, Daniel Kaluuya, Leetta Wright, Angela Bassett, Andy Serkis, Forrest Whitaker. The names go on and on and on. The weird thing about this is that they got all these people before they really started, like Daniel Kaluuya. Dia Guerrera, of course, is from Walking Dead, but they got all these people before they really, blew up into the public eye. So it just so happened to lucked out that the release came right after, about a year after Get Out or whatever. So I will do the non-spoiler stuff first. I will say that the plot of the movie is phenomenal. It is so good. It doesn't insult your intelligence. It plays out in certain places exactly how you think it should play out, when in normal movies they swerve you, but this one it doesn't. It doesn't insult your intelligence at all. The movie is absolutely stunning to look at. There are certain places where the CGI really shines through and you could tell that it's CG. But I will say that try not to get into spoiler territory here, because I want to give you guys time who haven't seen it to go see it. It's a very, very, very well told story. I will say that Avengers: Infinity War, after viewing this, villain-wise, has a lot to live up to. It's probably the best villain that Marvel or any comic book movie has ever given us. Yes, Killmonger is better than Loki. Yes, Killmonger is better than Heath Ledger's Joker. I'll say it now. He's better than Heath Ledger's Joker. Don't at me, because it's freaking true. Andy Serkis does a phenomenal job in this movie. He's funny in all the right places. The crowd laughed at him in all the right places, and he was on his A game. Chadwick Boseman, he's got that accent spot on. I mean, spot on. It's hard to imagine him with an American accent after watching this movie. And he just plays T'Challa so well. I mean, so damn good. He was made for this role. And it's even, he plays it 10 times better than Civil War. And people are going to go, well, yes, of course, he's had more time to study and it's his own movie. But it's true. Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger and Jadka just does a freaking phenomenal job. He's like the perfect villain. He is the perfect villain. I'm gonna butcher names, guys, so I'm sorry here. Lupita Nyong'o as Naika, who is T'Challa's former girlfriend, and she's a war dog. She's an undercover spy. Her character just is really, really well flushed out, and she plays it perfectly. I don't have a bad thing to really say about this movie, except for two spots where the CGI was just awful. Dia Guerrera as Oki, just, man, she is fierce in this movie. She is absolutely beast mode in this movie, and it shows. Her character, again, well flushed out. There's places where you think that she's going to veer one way, but nope, she swerves you and veers another, and it makes sense. And, you know, she's funny where she needs to be funny. All these characters are funny where they need to be funny. They're serious where they need to be serious. And it's just very well acted. Excuse me, you have to forgive me. I just woke up as I'm recording this. Martin Freeman reprising his character as Everett K. Ross. I was surprised that he had a really big role in this movie like he did. I thought we were going to see him for like that one scene and that was it, but no, he actually sticks around for the majority of the movie. He's you know, his role, and we'll get into this more when we get into spoiler territory. His role is just very fleshed out and very unexpectedly good. Martin Freeman just does a fantastic job with the character, and I'm curious to see what they do with this character going forward. I will say that if you're not familiar with Civil War, then you may not know who his character is, but get this, you do not have to see Civil War to understand it. If you're watching this movie for the first time, and this is the only Marvel movie you've ever seen, you're in good hands here. It's a hell of a place to start. I'll put it that way. Daniel Kaluuya, I thought would have a bigger role in this movie, but I didn't like his character. I didn't like the way his character arc, if you will. He does a phenomenal job, does Daniel Kaluuya, and it really comes through that he's a really good actor. But the character-wise, I didn't like the direction that they took with it. Wilson Duke is freaking funny as hell in this movie. He is funny as hell in this movie, and you can identify with him. He you know, you can really kind of step in his shoes a little bit and get into his character, and it's, again, very well written. Angela Bassett as Ramonda, who plays T'Challa's mother. Angela Bassett, what can you say about Angela Bassett that hadn't already been said? I first fell in love with Angela Bassett when I saw her in Vampire in Brooklyn years and years ago, and this just holds true to it. She keeps impressing me. Forrest Whitaker, and again, phenomenal. I actually, as I was waking up, they were showing The Last King of Scotland on Stars, which was made about 10 years ago, and I'm sitting there going, this dude just gets better with age. You know, you watch him in shit like Good Morning Vietnam, and then you go to like Last King of Scotland and stuff like that, and it's just, this dude just gets better and better and better. He's a full-on beast when it comes to acting. So my review for this, I mean, I like the story. Again, it did a really good job of, there was twists and turns where there needed to be twists and turns, and there was one spot in the movie where you're like, okay, it's time for him to break bad on this person. And in most movies where he wouldn't, he actually does. And the ending of this movie, the villain of this movie just is so well written. It's logical. It hits in all the places that it needs to hit. And I can't wait. I hope they make a sequel. I hope to God they make a sequel, because I want to go back and visit that world of Wakanda one more time. I want to go back there exclusively. I know that we're going to get parts of it in Civil War, and the direction that they took opened up Wakanda to a whole, you know, the MCU is forever changed because of this movie. But I want an exclusive movie set back in this land. I fell in love with Wakanda, you know, the world of Wakanda. My girlfriend is sitting there going, you know, well, I'll get there. Let's give my score first. Overall, my overall score is, if I had to give it, I put on Twitter last night, it was 6 stars. But given the, you know, now that I've had time to think about certain parts of the movie, there is one part in the movie that some are saying that is, you know, badly paced, where it lulls a little bit. I didn't feel that way. I felt like this movie just kept it coming at you. The message kept coming at you. Where the action was stalled, the message was there and the story was there. I don't think it lulled in the slightest. I was entertained throughout the whole thing, so I'm going to give it 5 stars, maybe 5.5. And the reason why I don't give it the full 6 stars on the old Meltzer scale is because of the fact that there were two spots of the movie where the CGI just was like, okay. But yeah, 5.5 for real, 5.5. See it again. See it 3 times. See it 4 times if you have to, if you can. Let's get into some spoiler territory now. This story, oh my God, this story. I'll give you a few seconds to click off here if you don't want to be spoiled. Come back once you've seen it and check out the spoiler territory. We're gonna go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. This movie forever changes the MCU because of the fact that everybody has access to that Wakandan technology. I felt that they did a good job in explaining Andy Serkis's character, Ulysses Claw. He got a little bit of a backstory. They touched on what he did in Civil War, and then his story wrapped up, and yes, he dies in the movie. So the movie itself, with this whole thing of family and what did T'Chaka have to do in order to preserve Wakanda and prevent, the movie is very political driven. It basically the whole balance of this movie is Wakanda is an island or an African country that got hit by a meteor that was made out of vibranium. Sorry, guys. I keep muting the microphone because I don't want to yawn in your ear. Like I said, I just literally woke up maybe about half an hour ago. So the country of Wakanda gets hit by this meteor, thousands upon thousands of years ago, and presumably out of this, out of the ground where the meteor hit, the tribes rose up. I think it was like 5 tribes rose up. And then they, all elected one king except for one tribe who was like, no, we're not going to play by the one king rule, or we think we should rule everything, so we're going to go hide in the mountains. But anyway, because of the vibranium and the technology that they're able to devise from the vibranium, they are years and years and years advanced from us. While we were carrying around the big clamshell phones in the 80s, they were already had smartphones, pretty much. Just think of it that way. They're light years ahead of us as far as technology goes. So, as you know, in Civil War, T'Chaka gets killed by who they think is the Winter Soldier. More on that later. So T'Challa, who is Chadwick Boseman, who's the Black Panther, has to step up and become king, and he also carries the mantle of Black Panther, which he carried during Civil War anyway. But they go through the official process of crowning him king, and there's one part in the movie where he has the powers of the Black Panther stripped from him, which the powers of the Black Panther come from this heart-shaped flower that grows as a result of the vibranium-enriched soil, which can give you superpowers. And only the king, or only the person who is elected as the Black Panther, is able to, eat the potion made from this flower. So he has to. So basically, part of him being crowned king is that if anybody thinks they could take my place, come step up and challenge me. And it's a fair fight because they take away the Black Panther's powers from him, to where it's a one-on-one, straight-up fight. So the leader, he ends up having a challenge later on with the people who went and lived in the mountains, and he fails. So basically makes him tap out, and as they're fighting on top of a waterfall, and he becomes king. Well, earlier in the movie, and again, this is just brilliantly set up. I love the way they set up the backstory of T'Chaka and his brother. How his brother wanted to, his brother was what they call a war dog living in Oakland, California in the projects. But we find out that the brother, the war dog, wants to take the technology and use it to rule the world because the rest of the world can't compete with it. The rest of the world can't, combat their technology and their weaponry. And they can't find Wakanda because Wakanda's hidden. The part in the movie where T'Challa's like, this never gets old, and they dive through the fake mountain to reveal the huge technological empire that is Wakanda. My girlfriend's sitting there going, they got a flying spaceship, because she knows nothing about comic books or whatever. She goes, they got a flying spaceship, yet, there's people on the ground in Africa riding around on horses. And about the time she said that, they dove through the mountain and Wakanda's revealed. And I looked at her and I went, you were saying? She goes, oh, okay. So she got her, she got her mouth shut right there, because she's like, oh, now I can dig this. Basically, you find out that when T'Challa's family, or when T'Challa's father killed his brother, basically T'Challa's uncle. T'Challa's uncle had a kid, and T'Challa's uncle had a kid who, basically didn't witness his father's murder, but he kind of comes back into the apartment to find his father murdered, and so. And they reveal this in all the right times, in all the right places in the movie, in all the right ways. It's just so well done. So essentially, the movie is the child of the murdered, the child of the king's brother, who is now, or the king's brother who is now murdered, ends up becoming Killmonger, which means he becomes, a CIA agent and everything like this, and he learns to kill. He learns to go in and take over countries covertly, and he becomes basically he's a weapon of destruction. He can go in, he can take over nations without even people even knowing that they're there, and so that sets up the brilliant performance by Michael B. Jordan in this movie. He's the villain that we have needed in movies and Marvel movies for a while. He's like, nah, I'm stepping up. I'm the king. All this shit that y'all been doing now is going to end. We're going to take over the world, basically, with our technology. We're going to show them what we're about. And even at the end of the movie, when the character, dies, Black Panther, the T'Challa is like, I think we can save you. And he goes, why? So you could just lock me up? No, just go ahead and kill me. I'd rather be dead than be locked up in a cell. So it's just, I wasn't expecting that. I was just like, okay, they're going to save the guy. And as soon as he goes, why? So y'all could just lock me up in a cage? I was like, oh man, they got me. They got me. The girl who plays, I think it's Lolita Wright, who plays Shuri, who is T'Challa's 16-year-old sister. I've fallen in love with this woman. She is freaking brilliant. Her character is probably my second favorite character in the whole movie. Every scene that she's in, she just, has that smile on her face. She, except for when she has to be serious, but she's just bubbly in all the right places. Her character's well written. Oh man. Lolita Wright is just a beautiful actress who knocked this character out of the park. She makes you smile when she's on screen, especially early on in the movie. And I just wanted to see a movie. Honestly, I came out of that going, hell, we could watch a movie based around this character and it would be freaking great. Or even if they're going to do it in animated form or anime form, I would love to see a character, or a movie or a show based around that character. I want to get into heavy spoiler territory here because it does. The after credit scenes are freaking crazy as hell. A lot of people are worried about the placement of those after credit scenes. The first one being where he goes in front of T'Challa, Black Panther goes in front of the United Nations and is like, okay, we're going to open up Wakanda to you guys. We're going to show you what we can do. We're going to show you the technology that we have. We're going to share it with the rest of the world. And the rest of one guy in the United Nations goes, you're a third world country. What could you possibly have to offer us? How are you any different? And T'Challa just gives that, sleek, sly grin, and it cuts from there to black. And I'm like, okay, you better go back to this in Infinity War. If you don't, you're dumbasses. Infinity War just, period, has a lot to live up to when it comes to this movie. Villain-wise, Thanos better be better than Killmonger. That's all I got to say, and he's got a lot to live up to. The writing, Coogler knocked it out of the freaking park, man. And it's it's one of those movies where it's like, okay, they did this, but they, Ryan Coogler did this. What do, it's going to be amazing to see what what happens after this. This changed this movie, this one singular movie, without having any really big tie-ins into the others, changes the MCU forever. So it's one of those things where it's like, okay, Infinity War has a lot to live up to, a ton to live up to, villain-wise, story-wise, acting-wise. It's got a ton to live up to. The second end credit scene was truly an end credit scene. It was after all the credits have aired, where you see these three kids in Wakanda looking over somebody. They're actually the camera shot's brilliant. It's as if you're the person and they're looking down at you. And then they run out of the hut all scared, and they start chanting "White Wolf, White Wolf," and out comes Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, with no metal arm, and he's wearing like the African tribal clothes, and he speaks to T'Challa's sister, and she's like, "Come on, you have a lot to learn yet. We're trying to get your brain right." And I marked out for that. I was like, if this does not have something that leads into an Infinity War, whether it be Bucky or Thanos or something, I'm going to be pissed. And they delivered. They absolutely delivered here. The movie itself is on track. It has grossed over already 122 million worldwide. It has probably it's the highest February opening of all time. It's the highest Thursday movie of all time after Deadpool for February, I believe. I can't say enough good stuff about this movie. I don't really want to. 5.5 stars, guys. I don't want to really, as much as I want to go into spoilers and give you like a scene by scene analysis, I'm not going to, because I want you guys to go see this. 5.5 stars. Go see it. These Marvel movies just keep getting better and better. Yes, they have a couple slip ups with, like Thor: The Dark World and stuff like that. But overall, has there really ever been a bad Marvel movie except for maybe Hulk, The Incredible Hulk? I don't think so. Iron Man 3 pushed it, but I don't think it's a bad movie. But yeah, go see this one, guys. You won't be disappointed. We'll see you down the road.